Hey all, this is Adam here at Hedgehogs by Adam. Starting to do a little video series about hedgehog care because, like probably some of you and me, I hate reading. So usually most of my research is a lot of videos, um, and talking to a lot of people. So hopefully this helps out a lot instead of me copying and pasting videos from other websites. So what I have here is this is Amy, and she is a 5-year-old female. Um, as many of you know, I've been dealing with hedgehogs for 5 years, so you can probably guess this is my very first hedgehog. She's the one that kind of started everything. She's my very first hedgehog I've ever seen. Um, she's just sleepy. She's old and grumpy and sleepy, but she's the sweetest thing ever. Um, and it's about midnight, so she's kind of waking up. One thing, this will be the first video in a series. One thing I want to go through is about biting. I've been getting a lot of calls and information from not only my customers but other people to come to me too, saying, "Hey, my hedgehog's biting. It's mean. What can I do to stop it? I've done everything that you've asked. I've read your website. I've done research and whatnot." Um, so basically, I've talked to each one individually, and pretty much every time I've pretty close to fixing the problem. Now there are some exceptions with hedgehogs, is they have their own personality, so there's just some you just can't break in. Usually the younger the hedgehog you get, the easier it is when you get an adult one. They can be really hard. I've got two breeder males that I'm actually trying to tame down and rehome now, and it took me about 2 months to take from 5 minutes of being in a ball down to about 30 seconds. Um, and I'm still working with them. Alright, so typically, I mean, I've been dealing with hedgehogs for 5 years, and I've handled probably hundreds of hedgehogs in those 5 years, and I've owned um, several hundred too. So, the breeding and whatnot. And I've only been bitten on purpose twice. Um, she's the first one that bit me, day one of getting her. And it's because the day I got her, I was excited and was drinking a Frappuccino, and I had some chocolate on my hand, picked her up, and she bit me. The second time was playing in their food all day, feeding hedgehogs, and I got bit, and that was probably about 2 months ago. So, um, out of all the hundreds of hedgehogs and the meanest and nastiest ones, even the ones I've handled at pet stores, I've only had two bit me that were my fault. The other times I've ever been bitten was for testing purposes. Um, One thing is, a lot of people are like, "Well, I do everything you said. I've read your care sheet. It's biting me. I don't understand what's going on." Well, when anytime a hedgehog leaves my faculty, I wouldn't never sell one that is not ready to be sold, or it's just grumpy, or it's biting, unless me and the customer has a mutual agreeing of, hey, they'll work with it, or whatnot, which I'm fine with, but I'm on them like a hawk. um, but pretty much all mine are mellow. I've never had any issues with them once they leave my house. Um, or any of my other facilities that I've worked with, I've never had one bite me before it left, but I've had customers call me saying they're starting to bite, and then I have to go through and kind of process of elimination, figure out what's on. And it's usually the most uncommon things you don't hear of. Um, in the wild, hedgehogs by nature, they use their sense of smell and their taste to figure out what's going on. Well, hedgehogs eat bugs and insects and fruit and vegetables. In Europe, they're called the gardener's friend. They help kind of eat the snails and slugs, but then in other places, they're just a nuisance because they'll just eat your gardens up. A lot of times, too, what hedgehogs like to do is they like to lick and smell and eat toxins, or anything. What they do is basically anoint or lick themselves with this thing, and it will create immunity from any predators from wanting to bite them, just for protection. We're not sure why they do it, but that's what we run the assumption. Um, so basically, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I wash my hands good. I do everything you say." They're still biting me. Well, one thing I go through, is usually, sometimes it's kind of like bonding, um, or them trying to get used to you, because that's usually what you do when they're huffing and puffing. They're being defensive, but usually hedgehogs, they curl up into a ball, so they really can't use their mouth to be defensive because they're in a ball. Um, so usually you can get an old T-shirt, wear it for like 2 nights in a row, no perfumes, no extra fragrances, just straight body odor, and put it in their cage will get them used to you. But even a grumpy, hissing hedgehog usually doesn't bite. Was like I said, their mouths are up in their ball. They won't uncurl to expose themselves to bite someone. So usually I've got to basically process of elimination go down to, well, what are you using for your hand soap? For hand soap, got something that smells like fruit or vegetables or anything sweet or salty, what they normally like to eat, your hand's going to smell like food. Some people are like, well, yeah, I washed my hands, it's still biting. I'm like, well, did you put lotion on your hands before then? Yeah, your lotion probably has something along the lines of something sweet, softy, or flowery, something that they like. Same thing goes for sanitizer. Sanitizer, they're coming out with some new scents and stuff like that, but sanitizer is made of toxins to kill germs. So I had to go through about 4 different brands of hand sanitizer to figure out which one the hedgehog won't bite me, and that's kind of the intentional making myself a guinea pig to figure out what worked. Usually the cheap stuff like you get at the store, dollar store, where it doesn't work. I've only found one hand sanitizer that keeps the hedgehog from biting me, and I've been using bunches of it, and it's Perel. I've never had any issues with it, just the straight old plain Perel. They've come out with some fruity kind. I'm sure they're going to bite you if you get that kind. Sorry, so other things, your hand soap that you're using. Does your hand soap have fruits or vegetables or something fruity smelling? Chances are they're going to think it's food or some sort of toxic. I stick with just straight off-brand Dawn. That's what I use for all my animals. When I wash my hands, I just use it. It's the best cleaner. I've had any issues with it. But like I said, you've got something that's not, either if you look in the greens, it's got something salty or smelly or something like toxic, try switching to a different soap. It may go through 5 different bottles of soap until you finally, like I said, the sanitizer went through about 5 brands before I figured out which one didn't bite. And it's been a hit and miss because some of my hedgehogs, they'll do it and some don't. So it's different for every one of them. I kind of learned the hard way with going to trade shows because you have to use hand sanitizer, and basically we went through a bunch of it until we figured out which was actually working. But you know, it comes down, it's just trial and error, because they're not gonna bite you just because they want to bite you. There's something on your hands. It's just trying to isolate what it is. I mean, maybe you're washing your hands, you're using the right hand sanitizer or whatnot. Well, did you recently spray perfume on yourself? Because they might be smelling the perfume, and it might not necessarily be on your hand, but it's on your arm, and they'll basically get a whiff of that because their scent is supersonic. It's very great. If you got any more questions or concerns, or even something, I could be just completely wrong. But I mean, I'm talking about 5 years worth of research. But granted, I can't read every single web page and website and know everything that there is about hedgehogs. Some of you have probably been dealing with hedgehogs for 20 years and might have a better idea than me. But I said I am very supportive of constructive criticism. I'm a freelance photographer. I get it all the time. So I mean, if there's something, any suggestions on soap or hand sanitizer or anything better methods than what I've given you, definitely let me know, and have a nice day.